Dianne Feinstein is said to be in frightening condition. This news just crossing. This is of some concern. There is obviously worry about her sort of mental capacity. We've seen numerous reports from staff saying that Dianne Feinstein is not in the best of shape, cannot really recall anything, is really struggling with short-term memory. And because the position is important from a voting standpoint, there are those allegedly like Nancy Pelosi that are trying to prop her up. So the New York Times coming out with a report. The New York Times, by the way, so it's not like it was, exactly a conservative organization. The New York Times reporting that Dianne Feinstein, 89 years old, did suffer some challenges with her vision and her balance as a result of her illness, which had been keeping her away from Capitol Hill. She also has something that is a facial paralysis that she's struggling with, as well as shingles, which brought on, and this is of concern. It's concerning because, she's in the government, a case of encephalitis. And encephalitis is basically a swelling of the brain, and that will affect a whole lot of things. It can affect mood. It can affect one's ability to communicate. It can affect memory. It can affect sleep, all sorts of things. So again, the Times writing about this and actually describing her condition, Dianne Feinstein's condition, as, quote, frightening. And that's a shame because she's there and basically they're just willing to prop her up because why? Because she's a vote. I mean, it's of concern, especially when we consider all the stumbling blocks we've seen from Joe Biden. And again, he's not struggling with this illness such as Feinstein is, that we know of, but something's going on. I mean, the guy is just not like what he used to be. I mean, he is. There's 80 and then there's Joe Biden 80. Am I right? I mean, he is an old 80. And I don't think his mental facility or capacity has really ever been there. Even when he's younger, you look at the old tapes of him getting in arguments with people. I mean, I remember one where he wound up actually getting tossed out of the New Hampshire primary. I mean, he was running when I was a kid. Think about that. I mean, this guy's been around forever. And he got tossed out because he got in some verbal altercation with some voter in New Hampshire. And he gets so offended. He gets so, pissy about things. He was like, I guarantee you I'm smarter than you. And I graduated top of my law school, blah, blah, blah. Except he didn't. He graduated in the very bottom of his law school class from Syracuse University. So Joe Biden is not exactly what you might call smart. He's opinionated, and he's never been a great speaker. He really never has been. The Clintons didn't really even want him to run. Think about that. I mean, they didn't really want Joe Biden. He would have been the natural successor, right? But she wanted to run, but still, they knew that this was not. The Obamas didn't want him to run. By the way, you saw the Obama thing. He's so worked up about the media being so divided. The media, please. You know why the media is divided, because it's being controlled by the left, and there's a few of us out there that are willing to call the you-know-what when we see it, and then it creates this, division within the media. It's division that has been very deliberately stoked and created and festered and by none other than our leaders. Okay. And sure, you can say, everybody's kind of doing it because they got to get elected. But I would just say it's pretty bad what we've seen from the left. I mean, I'm sorry. We elected Barack Obama twice. Okay. And you would think that the guy would have done more to try and promote some cohesion and some unity. I mean, and yet, no, exactly the opposite. And that's shameful. I'm sure Martin Luther King wouldn't have appreciated any of that. Martin Luther King Jr., who didn't want us to see color, didn't want us to see race, wanted us to be bigger than that. And yet, look at where we are right now. Anyway, Dianne Feinstein used to be kind of a smart cookie. Used to be. I mean, those times have really come and gone for sure. She used to be somebody that had some rather articulate ideas on things, including our border. I want to play you a clip. We're going way back to the 90s right now of Dianne Feinstein, a senator from California, back in her day when she made sense, back in a day when Democrats made sense. Imagine that.
When you come to these two borders, you have to remember a couple of things. In Mexico, there is no welfare, there is no AFDC, there is no SSI, there is no Medicaid, there is no Social Security, there is no Medicare, and there's a 58-cent an hour minimum wage. Mexico does nothing to enforce its border. It is my view that if we are going to have a North American free trade agreement, that Mexico must do its share, because the day when America could be the welfare system for Mexico is gone. We simply can't afford it. And I think you've seen the figures to state and local governments of what the cost is. It's over $2 billion in California alone. And I have those figures, if you want them in specific, in my purse. And that's why the issue is now joined with 2 million illegal immigrants. It's a competition for space.
Oh, wow. You know, those were the good old days. Those were the good old days when Democrats actually made sense.